Welcome to Clayton County Library System Virtual Graphic Novel Club. My name is Erica Ware, and I am one of the hosts for our graphic novel club. The other half, Roland Wellmaker Jr., is not here today, so we are going to jump right in and start talking about Marvel's Doctor Strange. All right, so we got a lot to cover today. Doctor Strange has some interesting history. So we're going to jump right on in here. All right. Origin story debut of Marvel's Doctor Strange. Dr. Stephen Vincent Strange, that's his alias, was created by artist Steve Ditko and writer Stan Lee in 1963. He made his comic book debut in Strange Tales number 110 in July of 63. The character was psychedelic adventure open to the world of magic and mysticism for Marvel. Lee said the character was inspired by an old radio show titled Shandu the Magician from the 1930s. Marvel had other magical characters such as Dr. Droom, later known as Dr. Druid, and DC had a long list of magical characters that Marvel was competing with, such as the Spectre, Zatara, and Dr. Fate. So this was kind of Marvel's debut, just jumping into trying to capture the mysticism of comics in the 60s. Strange Tales number 115 was when you get Doctor Strange's backstory. Dr. Strange was an arrogant and successful surgeon whose hands were damaged in a car accident. As he searches the world for a remedy for his mangled hands, he ends up near India looking for someone called the Ancient One. Actually, he finds the Ancient One in the Himalayan mountains, and the Ancient One informs Strange that, unfortunately, he cannot heal him because his motives for getting healed are selfish. He offers Strange to study under him in hopes that Dr. Strange will find healing within himself. Strange tries to leave after he is disappointed of not getting healed, but he ends up snowed in the Himalayan mountains. That night, the Ancient One's student, Baron Mordo, I'm going to remember that name because he tries to kill his master, the Ancient One, by summoning Dormammu, who is not a demon, but he is a dark being from the Dark Dimension. Strange saves the Ancient One. Instead of being killed, he's just only weakened. And at that point, the Ancient One decides to, hey, I'm going to train you. You're going to stay here and learn from me. And Doctor Strange decides to stay, and he is now considered the Doctor Strange and is fighting the world spirits that Baron Mordo is trying to summon. Baron Mordo is his first nemesis, and Strange stays and learns from the Ancient One and becomes his successor. Dormammu is Doctor Strange's biggest foe, though. He is summoned to Earth by Baron Mordo to defeat Strange. Dormammu is a ruler of the Dark Dimension. When Doctor Strange defeats him, Dormammu's niece Clea, with the help of Dormammu's niece Clea, Dormammu vows revenge, and another nemesis is born. Strange moves Clea to New York City to protect her, and she becomes his disciple. They also end up dating too, which don't really mix business and pleasure, because they're on and off again during this time. But they eventually get married. But Clea ends up moving back into the Dark Dimension because her uncle, her mother is usurped by her uncle, and she has to go and help her mom and regain the throne. Doctor Strange was said to be one of the most different Marvel characters. He was born in the 60s, so it was somewhere different for Marvel to go. You had, at this time, Fantastic Four, you had Spider-Man, you had Hulk, you have all these comics that they're churning out, Black Panther, all of these comics and characters they're churning out. Doctor Strange was their first time going into this whole mysticism era, and it said at the time that it was psychedelic and kind of weird, and it was just way out there for Marvel. Some people thought that the writers might have been using drugs when they wrote Doctor Strange, but what can you say? It was the 60s. So Doctor Strange did not get his own solo comic until 1968. So between 1963 and 1968, he's just featured in Strange Tales that also features the Human Torch. So he gets his own solo comic in 68, and that ran for 15 issues. It was canceled, but he shows back up in the 70s, and he's now teamed up with the Defenders. He's a part of the Defenders, and that team makes up with Doctor Strange, Namor the Atlantean, Hulk, and the Silver Surfer. He gets his own solo run again in 1974, which runs for about over 80 issues. In 1988, The Strange Universe is reborn again, and it ran until 1996. Each time it's reborn, Baron Mordo is reborn, Dormammu is reborn, so all of his classic nemesis are reborn with him, and they're even stronger than they were the last time. The 1988 version ran into 1996, but in the 2000s, Doctor Strange is sort of seen as more of a supporting character at this time. He is with a new group called the Illuminati, which makes up of Namor the Atlantean again, Doctor Strange, Black Bolt, Dr. Xavier from the X-Men, Iron Man, and Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four. The Illuminati is sort of a group that also prevent world universal events. So he's more of a supporting character in the 2000s. He appears more, popping up around different Marvel titles such as Hulk and Spider-Man. He also becomes a member of the Avengers during this time, but we also know that the Avenger members kind of move in and out, so that's what makes them such a great team. He had a new solo title that came out in 2015, and we also know during this time also Marvel is churning out their movies and for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So the new title came around the time that his movie was announced to be made by Marvel. So we shall see how far it's going to go with this new title, but I hear it's pretty good. I have not read anything from it, though. All right, let's see some powers from Doctor Strange. Okay, he has the power of astral projection. That's one of his many magical abilities, and he's incredibly accomplished by it. So he could make himself appear to be anywhere. He could talk to you. He could do all those things. Of course, magic. He's a mystic of the he's a mastic of the mystic arts, and he is the, like I said, the successor to the Ancient One. So he is at the top of his field. The Eye of Agamotto. He has the ability to expose the truth in a myriad of ways, and Doctor Strange uses the eye as a trusted mystic object. And he also has the cloak of levitation. It allows him to fly, and it can assist him in battles and help hold on to opponents. So sometimes you'll see him use it to hold people once he has to keep them bound. He wraps themselves around it. That's his powers and abilities. All right, we're going to get into some of his allies and enemies. I've mentioned some of these, but we're going to just go through them one by one. Strange, like I said, its first publication was in 1963. So you have Clea, who I talked about, who is Dormammu's niece. His sister is her mother. She is the daughter of Prince Orini and the legitimate heir to the throne. So that's something good, interesting to remember, because Dormammu is constantly challenging her family to the throne. He's ruler of the dark dimension for long periods of time. But she is the true ruler, and she actually, as of right now, is the current ruler. After she went back and fought for her throne, Doctor Strange, traveled to the dark dimension to help. Actually, to fight Dormammu, her uncle, and she assisted Strange when he went into the dark dimension. They returned to Earth actually to protect her, because when they bound Dormammu, she had to leave her home. So she moves to New York. Like I said, they live together. She was his disciple. They begin dating. Like I said, mixing business and pleasure. They were very on again, off again. And they eventually do get married, but she returns home to the dark dimension. And I think he also, when she returned home, even though their marriage was kind of short lived, I think they technically are still married, because it doesn't say anything about them ever getting divorced or anything like that. So they probably are still married. But yes, she is not his current love interest, because there's a new love interest. I think the love interest that is featured in the film version is his current love interest. So I don't necessarily know what happened to her. I think she just went back. She just went back home. All right, we got Namor the Atlantean. Namor is Prince of Atlantis and now ruler of Atlantis. He is the Submariners. That's what they call him. He is half mutant and half human. So he is one of the mutants of the Earth, and he does not like surface dwellers. He does not like mankind. He grew up hating surface dwellers. He is also not known to be very nice to human beings. So when he does come up from Atlantis, he is very much pro-Atlantis, and he gets into quite a few. He at one point in time supported human beings, but they destroyed Atlantis while he was. He lost his memory, and so he doesn't really trust human beings. So he's very pro-Atlantean, and he's always going to look out for Atlantis first. He's very similar to another character that rivals him in DC, which is Aquaman, being half human, half Atlantean also. But Namor is a part of the Marvel Universe. And Submariner has been around since the days of Captain America and World War II. So they both came around at the same time. He is a member of the Illuminati. He is also a member of originating member of the Defenders too. You see him a lot teamed up with the Fantastic Four, and sometimes not even teamed up. Sometimes the Fantastic Four are actually fighting him. But he is an ally to Strange. He and Doctor Strange get along. And even though he may not like any of the other human beings, he gets along with Doctor Strange. He's lived among the humans. He lived in New York City. But again, and he also helped the Allies during World War II to fight the Axis. So he has a long history with human beings, but he, again, is pro-Atlantean first. You have Wong. Wong is considered, he's a descendant of a Tibetan tribe that, he's a Tibetan monk that served the Ancient One. So his family line has always served the Ancient One, and he is the last living of that line, bloodline. He's considered the manservant of Doctor Strange, but as the years have gone on, they're actually more peers. There's a friendship there. And so he is also a disciple to Doctor Strange, because the Ancient One sent him to New York City to serve Strange. But he's also an expert in martial arts too. So, but Wong is also in the Doctor Strange. He's in the movie Doctor Strange, and he's also in some of the other films. You'll see him in Endgame and with the Avengers, and so yeah, he is an ally to Strange. Again, the group, the Defenders, is originally Doctor Strange, Hulk, Namor, and eventually the Silver Surfer that appeared around 1971. They were a group, but they have a rotating line too. But the current members are from, don't know if anybody, we've talked about it when we talked about Luke Cage, but Luke Cage is one of the Defenders, and that Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, I'm forgetting the other one, but he also has a show on Netflix too. They're the current group of Defenders, so they also have a Netflix show. Haven't seen it yet, but heard it was really good. But they also have rotating members like the Avengers, but they're not as big as the Avengers. Some more allies. We have the Avengers. He was a member of the Avengers. Like I said, he was in the 2000s, briefly joined the Avengers. Again, rotating member of teams. You have the original members from the 1960s. They appeared in the 1960s in a Fantastic Four series. A lot of things, because Fantastic Four was kind of considered that family that was sort of the jump off point for Marvel kind of reinventing themselves. A lot of the teams, a lot of the big characters that we see also have ties to the Fantastic Four. Black Panther had premiered in, he debuted in Fantastic Four, the Avengers, even Doctor Strange because of the Human Torch. So Johnny Storm, yeah. So there is the Fantastic Four has a lot of origin stories coming out of it. But the Avengers, they are Earth's sanctioned superheroes from the United States, and they are maintained under SHIELD. He, like I said, came in and out because of his team ups with Spider-Man, and they have a friendship. But he was a member in the 2000s. But that's some of the originating members there: Captain Marvel, Black Panther, all of those guys there. Sort of the current team. Oh, there we go. All right, let's talk about some enemies. Dormammu. This guy here. Look at my notes again. So he is a member of the Fulton race, which again, Clea is also a member of the Fulton race. They are from the Dark Dimension. Ruled the Dark Dimension by force. He took it by force by killing not his brother, but brother-in-law in line of family. So he killed to take force. He tried to take over Earth, but was stopped by the Ancient One and later by Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange trapped him in a pocket of time, and to release him, he said that he had to let go of his quest of taking over Earth. Dormammu agreed to it, but in the process, he declared Doctor Strange a nemesis forever, and so they still have a lot of skirmishes, and the Earth is still involved. So yeah, kind of broke his word there, but they've clashed many times over the years, and it was reborn. Like I said, he got his first solo in 1968. He gets another solo in the 70s, in the 80s, and each time Dormammu is basically stronger and stronger every time. So they've clashed over the years, and he has constantly tried to take the throne from his niece, Clea, and has been successful at times and been unsuccessful at times. So yeah, so he's pretty strong, as you can see. You have Baron Mordo. Baron Mordo is the character that Strange meets in his first meeting with the Ancient One. Baron Mordo was the Ancient One's student at the time, possibly his successor. But Mordo began his studies, and when they came up against each other, when he attacked the Ancient One while Strange was there, again, Strange becomes a nemesis for life for Baron Mordo. And Baron Mordo just does not like Doctor Strange at all. So he uses black magic to try to kill the Ancient One. Strange stops him, and so they become nemesis for life, constantly challenging one another. Mordo dabbles in the dark arts, and so he's constantly summoning beings like Dormammu to defeat Strange or to defeat the Ancient One or to attack Earth. He's also one's called he's also done other dark used dark magic to summon other beings that Strange defeats later too. All right, film and television. So Doctor Strange doesn't have the most of the characters that we've talked about in the Marvel universe have had some sort of film and TV, especially lately. Lots of film and TV appearances, but Doctor Strange did start off on television. He was here in this first picture, a TV movie that premiered on CBS in 1978. It was supposed to be a jump off point for a television series, but it did not happen. CBS ended up canceling those plans because it was supposed to premiere at the same time as things like Spider-Man, and because Spider-Man had his own television show, you had the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk had its own television show. So Doctor Strange was supposed to be in that lineup, but he never got that opportunity. The movie, I watched the trailer on YouTube. A little different from Doctor Strange's background. Instead of being a doctor that worked with his hands, he is a psychiatrist who is working with a woman who has been being controlled and possessed by that evil lady there, who, gosh, what is her name? I'm forgetting her name and I did not write it down. But yeah, it took away from that origin story of Doctor Strange. I mean, they kept him a doctor, but he was a psychiatrist, and he didn't study with the Ancient One. It just went down a whole other path, and that's probably why it wasn't very popular and it didn't get picked up for a television show. But fast forward, and right here, we have the Doctor Strange movie that was released under the Marvel cinematic Marvel Studios there, and it is played by Cumberbatch. Is that his name? Yeah. But he also is in Avengers Endgame and Infinity War. So he makes several appearances in the cinematic universe of Marvel right now. And I think he has another movie that's supposed to be coming out. It was supposed to come out in 2021, but I know that has probably been pushed back because of COVID. So I think Marvel has redone their releases. Yeah, everything I think has been pushed back a year. So soon, it's coming soon. Doctor Strange Part 2. And that's just some works cited here, some of the stuff. And if you guys need a copy of this, you could definitely just email us and ask, because we get all of our information from various sources. So this is the time where we kind of share what our favorite or something that we've read from, just went back too far. That's something that we've read or something that's our favorite from Doctor Strange universe. So if anybody has anything, you can use the chat, or you can also just unmute your mic and you can tell us what it is. Well, I open mine's up, give you guys a chance to adjust. So I'm not seeing anything in the chat, but I will share what I read, and I read Doctor Strange, a team up with Doctor Strange and the Punisher. It was published in 2018. It's called Magic Bullets. Can't, so I don't have a good picture of the cover. It's because it's on my iPad. But Strange and Punisher team up. They're both out of New York City. As we know, Punisher is he's a, I guess you can consider him a good guy. He's not a good guy. He's not a bad guy. He's an enforcer, basically. The Punisher is vengeance first, and then we'll talk about being politically correct later. But he and Strange team up because Strange, first of all, Strange, it opens up with Strange doing, Punisher is hunting members of the mafia in New York City. He runs across Doctor Strange when he finds him in an underground magical fight club. Like, he's fighting magical beings below the cities of New York. Punisher infiltrates a group of a gang and ends up running into Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange leaves. Punisher kills pretty much the entire gang is there, but he needs Doctor Strange's help to eliminate mafia demons. So the mafia is starting to use dark magic to eliminate their enemies. And of course, Punisher / Frank Castle decides that the Sorcerer Supreme is the person he has to work with. Of course, Doctor Strange has some reservations about working with the Punisher because, again, Punisher kills first and asks questions later. So their styles are completely different. But Frank wants these mobsters out of the way because when you start mixing when you start mixing black magic and mob, it's never a good thing. And so, and basically what Frank tells him is that if you don't help me, all of New York could pretty much be in danger because these guys really don't know what they're doing. And really, it's just another way of those that are the demons that they are summoning to basically take control of New York and then Earth. So Doctor Strange steps in and sort of teams up. It's an unlikely team up, and it's probably the only time it's ever going to happen because in the end, they are just really too different. The way they approach things is just so different. But that's why I want to read it, because I was like, Doctor Strange and the Punisher teaming up. Now that's one I hadn't heard of, because when you hear of his other team ups, it's like the Avengers and the Illuminati and the Defenders. They're defending the world, the Earth, the universe, and Punisher is not on any of those teams. He pretty much stays in New York or Hell's Kitchen, and his number one focus is mob related. So, yeah, I thought it was good. It was, I definitely recommend it. Like I said, it's called Magic Bullets, and it was published in 2018, and it's about 130 pages, give or take. But it's 4 issues bound together. And it is rated teen, so not meant for the little kids. Lots of killing, lots of blood. If that's your thing, then go for it. It's all there. Did anybody have anything else before I move on to our next pick. Oh, I wish we could. Wow, missing an eye in the 80s. Huh. I did not come across that in my that is definitely a rolling question. And if you, when I bring up the screen, you can email us, and I can definitely let Roland get back to you on that because he actually read Doctor Strange in the 80s and was one of his favorites. He said so. Yeah, I'll definitely get back to you on that one. But no, I didn't run across that in my research of it. But that would not surprise me. Him missing an eye in the 80s because it was reborn. Like I said, it was 1988. It was um, rebirthed again, and they made it darker than it was in the 70s, and it was made darker than this 1974 version. So yeah, we can definitely get back to you on that. Do we have any other questions? Oh, oh that is interesting because, like I said, I did not run across. Oh, that is gruesome. Yeah, I am guaranteeing you that Roland is all on top of that. Let's see. But yeah, he did. He did. I just looked it up. He did have an eye patch in the 80s. Oh, so gruesome. Oh gosh. Um, yeah. Hmm. Oh, a demon blast. A demon took his eye out. Yeah. Oh wow. Yep. Yeah, he got his eye taken out by a demon in the 80s. And they gave him an eye patch for the rest of the series. Cool. But yeah, let me put that email address right there. If you guys want to email us, and we can definitely look into that some more because yeah, that is that looks like an interesting story. So I will have to ask Roland about that one. Have any other questions or comments? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did. Now, in my research, I did see that like in the 80s and 90s, they went into that whole black magic storyline, and what it was saying. That's why, sort of in the 2000s, he was more of a supporting character because they said the magic was actually affecting his body, and so sort of like basically like aging him at an accelerating rate. And so he doesn't have any, and until 2015, he doesn't have another run of just a series about him, but he's more popping up in Spider-Man because they have a friendship. He's popping up in Hulk because he has to defeat uh, the whole when Hulk comes back and he's angry that they deceived him, Planet Hulk, that whole storyline. He teams up with the Illuminati to defeat Hulk. So he's sort of they said that from the 80s and 90s series that like the magic just basically is affecting him as a being. And so yeah, I did read that. But yeah, it is I'm sure it's an interesting storyline. I as we always say on this I was about to call it a podcast, this virtual graphic novel club. My thing is more DC and Roland is more Marvel. So when I'm talking about Marvel characters, I'm really sometimes just being introduced to them in a comic book sense. Of course, I've seen the movies and things like that, but as far as comic books, I didn't read a lot of Marvel growing up. More DC fan. Any other comments or questions? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah. I will definitely, like I said, Roland and I will probably have a conversation about that. So yeah. But I feel like I think Marvel was again, there's that, the 80s and 90s, because also in the late 80s, you had a lot of comics were going dark because you had, and we haven't talked about Batman yet, but you had Frank Miller who sort of just reinvented Batman in the late 80s, and it was so dark. And so a lot of comic book artists and writers started saying, hey, it's okay to be dark. It's okay to get out of that, uh, Super Friends type of world of just creating the best as the best characters, and you could be dark and you could kill Robin and you could do all these things. And so that also bled into Marvel too, and a lot of their characters went dark in the 80s and 90s. We talked about that in Blade, how Blade was reborn in the 90s, and it was darker than it was in the 70s. And even there's another one we talked about too that was dark. X-Men. When we talked about X-Men, that the 80s, you had New Mutants come out, things like that. So yeah, the 80s and 90s said it's okay to be dark in comics, and it's okay to scare people and to really show people. And then you also had Watchmen too, one of my favorites that came out in the 80s, that said, what if you have these awful people who become superheroes or are superheroes? And so yeah, that's a great time period. Love it. You kill Superman, it's just a lot. It's great. It's great. Anything else? All right. Look, great discussion today, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And our next meeting is going to actually be the last meeting of the year until January 2021. We'll be back. But our last meeting is going to be October 20th. And we're going to be talking about DC's Batwoman. So come with your favorite graphic novels, come with your questions. We're going to do her justice. And we also have our email there. If you guys could drop us a line with some of the characters you would like to see us cover and us discuss in 2021, we would love to hear from you guys, because we've covered I think we covered at least 16 characters, eight from Marvel and 8 from DC up to this point. And we would love to get some more fresh ideas of some more characters to cover, because there's a plethora of them out there. And so if you could email us at the cclsfpstaff@gmail.com. Also check us out at claytonpl.org, where you can, if you want to place your graphic novels on hold or get them sent to you to your local library, you could do that there, or through the Pines app. But we'll meet again October 20th at 4 p.m., same time, and same web address there. So it was good talking to you guys today, and we'll see you next time.